We're still here. Gonna,
While
yeah.
Shoes is elected, and I'm gonna lay low in this beautiful resort we live in.
I was gonna say, and what Idlewild was built on was we're still here, standing on business. Go ahead.
Just wait till the medicine is gone.
Y'all are nuts. We're gonna
We're gonna do this over here.
You know.
Come down my road a bit.
Ooh.
Okay.
Like, you know, slow down.
I'm gonna just set some intentions here real quick.
Thank you.
Yes. DJ Manadu, Madabashi Queen, Digital Cosmic Window, forgive my English, please. That's the best I'm equipped with today. Ooh, may we come to you so that we don't feel alone. Realize we are intended. May we use our words to guide us today. Set intention, set with community, and learn together so that we may not speak or act in fear. Make Rich, guys. I'm gonna get it going again.
Miigwetches, thank you. Gratitude. And Frida! Frida, you want to meet everybody?
Hey, Frida.
I got some kittens, y'all, because that's what the times necessitate.
I really like that. Kittens are what the times necessitate.
Kittens for the times. And Mark, you were just saying you lost an uncle. I also just lost an uncle. That would be awesome. Thank you so much. So I went down home and I was so sad. And also Kevin lost an uncle. And so we were both, both of our families hanging out, and Sandy Everson, Kevin's sister-in-law, I was like, I'm so sad. Could we just go snuggle kittens and look at plants all day?
Yeah.
And she was like, hell yeah. And we walk into, and this was my thing when I was little, I'd have my dad, if he was driving around, he'd be like, where do you want to go? It was always Petland, the library, the hardware store. Yep.
Unique. That's unique.
The nature center, and so we walk in there, and the guy, like, immediately he was like, I was like, I need to hold some kittens, and he's like, get in there. And and I felt so grown up and liberated because you don't have to have a parent with you anymore. Like, I could just cuddle all the kittens I want. And the first two he brought in, like, snuggled together, was Frida and Diego. And
we were talking about voting, and I come back and we're talking about kittens. Snuggle. I love it.
And I've been researching Frida a lot, and so I was like, I think it's like the actual reincarnation of them.
Okay.
And so
unique. I'm a dog man.
Yeah.
That's so unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a lot of stray cats.
There are so many stray cats. And that's a huge environmental problem.
And they're like down my way, and I'm kind of, because I'm like totally isolated. I'm like, how you survive?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it gives me a little pause to,
Can you adjust that kind of closer?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it gives me pause to feed them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I figured they've been surviving.
Yeah. Well, they act like an invasive species because they didn't.
They'll outcompete and they'll take down birds. They're really effective little murder machines. So when they're loose,
they're apex predators.
The mice situation, but I haven't seen any mice.
They're also opportunists, though. But so it's and back to that's one of those things. Community and local government can You're like, hey, everybody sees that this is a thing. Oh, do you have the
Do I have what?
live feed for the pulls up?
Yeah, the live feed. Let's look at that.
I was just gonna ask if you had it up. You started because we actually started talking about your uncle, yes.
Well, yeah. So, yeah, life in life. And so what was home when you went, Lady Shore?
Oh, I went to Columbus.
Columbus, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm familiar with Detroit, so yeah.
Was it your mom's
My
dad?
dad's
Dad? Yeah.
His ladder, brother. Yeah, retired police officer in Detroit, 33 years. But he just didn't listen when I told him to put things in order.
Mm-hmm.
His wife, she's a piece of work.
Mm.
One of those things that I learned from it's one of those things I learned from my family actually is like to be able to save space for those families that grieve is it's an honor to be able to do that for your community.
Yeah.
And
It's something we really need to get
back to doing because it's something that we've done and our communities have done for each other. Like my family has dug graves, and I remember being upset with my dad when he was in a grave because he took me away from the beach that day, and he's in with a shovel digging in a grave, and I got upset with him, and I remember him climbing out and sitting with me and talking to me about how it was an honor to be able to do this still in the spaces because this allowed the family to not have to worry about that, and it was an honor to handle the dirt in a loving way to return that person back home because we loved them. So it was an honor to be able to put that time aside and love that family that way, even if it's just within that labor. And it made me look at it differently. And it's an honor to be able to hold that space and to be able to allow our families to grieve in a healthy way and to love each other.
How old were you?
Well, maybe 8.
Oh wow! You getting a life lesson at 8.
Yeah.
My dad was an artist in a way that he was like a translator for a lot of things because he was
That's a really good way of putting it. I feel the same about my dad and my grandpa. Like my whole dad's side, it was always like every time we were together, it was so rich. Like
it was just like a slight shift, like a change over in perspective. Like you slide one seat over at the concert and you're like, oh dang, or one row up, and it's like a restricted view to an unrestricted view. And it was always something like that with my dad and my grandpa. But yeah, we were talking actually about being able to finally, after generations of just having to be able to fight to live, of being able to actually plan for our families to continue after us because we haven't had that privilege for a long time.
Totally. Yeah. Like thinking about, because we were just joking about that earlier is, I never even thought about being, not that I didn't think I would grow old, but like I didn't imagine, and I'm not saying that I'm old, but I didn't imagine that I would even get to do what I've already done.
Statistically, this entire room isn't supposed to be alive.
Yeah. And so it's like, how can you even, why would you even, I never thought I would have anything to pass on to anyone. Yeah. And a lot of us didn't. So,
well, even planning for the care for afterwards. That's what wedding rings were actually for, and ear piercings were for, is no matter where you died, you would have the money for your body to be taken care of. You were loved enough that no matter where you were, someone you were provided for. That was your burial insurance. You were loved enough to be taken care of that way. That's how those things started. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't wear no jewelry.
We gotta get on this.
Well, I mean, the contemporary, like we were talking about, that would transfer to actual burial insurance and things like that, or life insurance. yeah, I'm going through some life changes, and like we've had to have those conversations about how long do we stay on life insurance policies and like all.
But
of
it's
those
also
things.
like the things that I'm becoming aware of for myself. It's so obvious that places like Idlewild are the same. You know, it's like even though you can see it's written down how much, and you can feel how much people cared about it, there were other forces that are still at play that keep getting in the way of like, we just want to protect this beautiful thing and take care of each other.
Do you have a lot of cousins on your dad's side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, both sides, really, my mom's side and my dad's side.
But do you guys do you have anything like for your family? Because usually in big families there's something like that's a like a memory of grief or funerals. Like, oh, when my family gets together for funerals, this is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it can be festive at times, but then it'd be everyone say, "Oh, we got to get better and better terms," other than these occasions. But
Yeah. Do did your uncle ever tell anybody what he wanted to have happen after he passed?
well, he no, he never discussed that. He had some challenges health wise, and he beat cancer a couple times, and so we always assumed whatever licking down took, that he was gonna get up and take it. So, but yeah, he had no orders, and
Okay.
we kind of assumed to do the ritual. I guess First Baptist Church, and however it be. But he did have a policy in place for me to receive just in case. So he did think of me in that. We were tight. So, and he gave me an old car and made sure he put it in my name so it wouldn't be lost in the mess of other things. He had some other possessions that were great also too, but he didn't put that in order. But, as long as the house that we've been knowing since the 40s is still in our control. That's about the best thing out of it.
What else?
Amen.
Yeah. What else did he like to do? What was he like to be around?
Oh, he was
And what was?
He was that uncle you would call the fixing man. He knew how to fix things or whatever. You ever heard of the Blue Pigs? It was like a group that Detroit police would go around performing at local schools and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the drummers in that Blue Pig. So I didn't really process that growing up. Oh, Unc was a Blue Pig, so he would.
What? I gotta look this up.
So maybe he didn't perform in my particular school when I was, because he had joined the force in '77. So by the time he probably took the mantle of being a Blue Pig, I was out of the elementary bracket at school. So that's why I didn't know that.
There's quite a few things that like just the generation before me has done that I'm like, I what do you mean? Like, holy cow!
I know.
Like, just all nonchalant about it, and I'm like, I was, but then to be fair, there's nieces and nephews that I have that are like, you were just at my school and you didn't get me out of class for your thing, and I'm like, I didn't even realize that you would want to be there, but so that's the duality of that. But to look back and to think that, oh, all those intersecting points where we were together and like you can see the importance of the threads pulled through.
Is this it?
What's that? Oh, Blue Pig. So you put the Blue Pig?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to it. This is. Oh man.
Yeah, that was the thing in the early let's say mid-70s, early 80s.
Hmm.
It was like a treat to go to an auditorium and see the Blue Pig perform.
You would go for school?
Yeah, they would have like a concert during school session.
Whoa, that's interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I guess that was one way to unite the community with the law enforcement. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Actually, it's pretty good.
Well, yeah, I heard and I've read a couple of stories, and Danny knew, I guess the sheriff back in the day. There's all these stories about how he just knew every single person, and so you'd like get in trouble as a kid, and he'd already be at your house,
Oh,
you know. And there's a really big difference between that. If it, I'm sure it's complicated, but I feel like it's nice to see places like Idlewild that, in the midst of even the more heightened violence from police, they created a pocket of like a way to make it a community focused thing,
okay.
and to keep each other safe instead of like, feel unsafe.
Definitely feel safe here.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
I
Tara.
appreciate that. Hey,
Hey, Kyle. What's
how you
up?
doing? All right.
Mark?
Yeah.
Kyle, good to meet you.
Nice to meet
You guys haven't met?
No, I'm probably seeing your face.
Yeah.
What's your last name?
Jenkins.
Jenkins. No, I haven't met you.
Wow. You want to have a seat? Yeah. Introduce yourself. We were talking about, man, we were going all over the place.
Yeah,
Family,
we
and
we did probably put a little structure to it.
we could come back. It all started with the moment, the times, the election today.
Okay.
Danny's out there. Hey, Danny. What's up?
What's up, D?
Danny.
So they can interact with the. You can interact in the video.
Yeah, I'm getting messages in this interface. So we're live streaming to Instagram and YouTube. And then the YouTube link is also on Facebook, so people could find it on there too. And Danny's watching on YouTube, and it shows up here. So actually, another part of this whole thing is that I'm building a media lab so that we can just have a space to get together and talk and share and figure out what's going on and what to do about it.
Yeah.
And this is the 3rd season, and we also have it is the supper club for real, so we do have some food. There's salmon that Floyd brought. And spaghetti squash mushroom pasta.
Spaghetti squash mushroom.
That's a combination.
That's
a nice combination.
Yes.
I think so. And one of my goals is to be able to test out different food and remind myself of different food that grows here, because I'm also building on food sovereignty and food security for not just the environment but low-income folks. I've been doing food prep for also just to discipline myself, and bringing portions over to George weekly, and we do like a studio visit and stuff, so just trying to make sure we're cared for. Yeah. So and then everyone in the community is invited to produce a show, because I really do want everyone's perspectives and everyone's projects to just we can put up on the wall and talk about them and not be stressed out about someone jumping down your throat. And it also doesn't have to be on air. people are welcome to hang out in like the rest of my house, and we can just hang out and eat. Yeah. Yeah, and we do this anyway, so it's just a little bit more official. And my way of just updating the process that the community was already doing, because they documented what they were doing with the same understanding that no one's gonna pay attention to us, you know. And the point is to make sure we know that we were cared for, and we know how to do that, and we know how to be a community.
Yeah, and that's it's part of being a community is when you got different perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
and see what can come together to collaborate and
Totally.
build a coalition. And so,
Could you actually lean a little more this way?
It's
You're right on.
interesting to see how this is going to evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and would you talk about the Team Center and your Idlewild history, who you are?
Well, I'm Kyle Greer. We came up in the mid 60s from Cleveland, Ohio, just to come up in the summer and experience the joys and the heyday of Idlewild. And so we eventually settled about around 67, I think, and moved up here. Our family history goes back to the Riffs, Robert and Margaret Riff.
Oh, cool.
From the Riff Center. And so when we were coming up in the summer, the Riffs would stay, they had a duplex where our house is at now. They would stay on one side and we would stay on the other. And as kids, we crammed up in the 2-bedroom duplex. And we had a great time being at the lake and just meeting people from all over. People come in from as far as California and down south. And if you notice, some of the streets are named after cities.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of those cities, or all of those cities, I would say at one time people were coming. And you had motels, you had establishments, you had Lee Johns was active, Dan Ware, Gibson's Market. We had Mr. Burns from Cleveland, who came up and he had a laundromat here as well. Mike Letman and his family came and had Letman's open. I can't even tell you the number of motels and establishments. The Flamingo was still jumping. The Paradise. There was another, I believe, another club. I want to say it was off Nelson. All right, we were here when Dr. Nelson was the doctor. Him and his wife and daughter, America, and so we saw them at one time. He would be our doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So just the number of highly Black folk that came, and educated folk, and at one time people from Detroit came and established a high sale pick products factory here.
Yes.
Yeah, and so.
Do you have any?
I don't. I wish I had kept one.
Do you know what they were like? Because I actually
want
to. They were wooden. Okay.
Wooden picks, and they had the steel lifts in them.
Okay, because I got a bunch of the Afro picks.
Yeah.
And I was like, I knew probably it wasn't those ones, but I was in my mind like, I'm gonna pretend.
So we had that. I remember meeting Peyton from the Four Tops. I waited on him when Castellani's was in Idlewild, the Italian restaurant. And by the way, Mr. Castellani, Ralph Castellani, is still alive. He's about 80-something years old. Lerone Bennett Jr. was up here from Jet Ebony. And so many of the stars were here. And, everybody knows the story. But so we settled in, and it was getting used to these winters up here.
Mm-hmm.
So
you were full time?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were here. We moved. Summertime was beautiful. It's transitioning to the winter, even though we came from a cold climate.
Mm-hmm.
This was a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit more up north.
Mm-hmm.
So we got used to it eventually, and you had being on the lake. We could go ice skating, we can go sledding. Excuse me. So we got acclimated to the weather, in the school system, because it was mixed. The cultural exchange was something new, because in Cleveland we, grew up on the east side, so that was during the time of the riots and the Huff riots, and Cleveland was one of the first cities to have a riot. We also had the first black mayor, Carl Stokes.
Mm-hmm.
So going through all that and transitioning up here was a different cultural, not a shock, but just I think it helped to develop my understanding and relationship with cultures, different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
So if you fast forward to now, after I graduated from high school, just as it is now for some of these kids, wasn't much to do, so I left.
Mm-hmm.
And so we still come back up for the summers from time to time. And so now we've come back, me and my wife, and she was, we went to school together here. We met in the 5th grade. In Baldwin.
Oh my gosh.
We decided to come and build a place for the youth and for the community to have for activities. We called it the Team Center, TEEM, training, educating, equipping, and mentoring. So me, my wife, my sister, Erica Anderson, and Arnelda Roxborough Clark. Now, all of us from here.
That's
so we all grew up
awesome.
here. And so that's our team. So far it's been a little slow, but we've had some momentum, and we've had so far. We've done a couple civics classes. We've had couple financial workshops. We've had
Civic engagement.
Right? We had community meetings, some community strategy meetings.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a talent show not too long ago. That was good. We had we've had a couple of private events in there. We've had a leadership event in there as well. We had a revival a few weeks ago, and it was real nice. Upcoming, we have a seniors Medicare information session on the 14th of this month in November. We're partnered with Apex Insurance out of Baldwin. And then on the 16th, we're having a poetry slam or a poetry event.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand slam. So if you got some poetry, you spoken word or whatever you got, bring it. And we've got our own page on Facebook, the Team Center, and we usually post in Idlewild 100. We collaborate with Idlewild, ICC, Idlewild Community Collaborative with us. First Baptist of Idlewild and Mid-Michigan. Also Positive Impact with Beulah Guyton. And so we, Monet McClure, she's kind of joining us a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And the RAB Foundation.
Yeah, the RAB Foundation. So we're trying to build a coalition of nonprofits and organizations that when we can come together, although we do our own separate programming, we can come together to collaborate on some things, kind of make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more participation we have, I think the better it is for the community at large.
Mm-hmm.
And then in December, we'll have a community holiday movie, The Preacher's Wife, or another movie.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
Go back to classic with free donuts and cocoa. We're also getting ready to collaborate with Project Focus at the school, and we're going to be helping Reggie Fox, another one who grew up here,
Mm.
and his Thanksgiving giveaway for meals
Awesome.
for the school. So I think December 21st, November 21st, we'll be at the school. They're having a community resource day, so we'll be there setting up. So we're getting out there and trying to give to the community those things that they don't have,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time build coalition. And we're open. We're going to be allowing the building to be used to rent it out.
Mm-hmm.
So our only rules is no smoking and drinking in there. So we
You gotta come
we can
over
have a
here for
dance.
that.
Yeah. You can have a dance. You can have a little party. But
Mhm.
You go over to your aunties.
yeah. So, but other than that, I mean, we're sitting on about an acre of land,
Mhm.
and we have a bus, a 20-passenger bus. So when like some of the seniors or youth need rides, we can go pick them up and
Mhm.
transport them back and forth. So it's been a blessing, and I just see bigger and better things happening, and the more that people get to know us and know that we're there and get a chance to come and look. It's a beautiful building
Mhm.
that they'll come in and join us and enjoy the events.
Totally. And the few, I really wanted to beat it more, but yeah, we have been like busy in our own worlds,
Sure.
working away. But the ones that I have been at, it's such a beautiful space. The layout, like the work that y'all did on it, is really
Yeah, it was
awesome.
2
And
years,
it's
2 years in the makings.
it's hard to, and there was so much sharing of like just y'all looking out for me and being
Mhm.
like, we got an electrician that's actually doing stuff.
Yeah. We look, trial and error around here with as far as contractors, and
Mhm.
And the sharing of knowledge goes
yeah.
a long way.
we went to what I really wanted to do. I know the township can't be responsible. I want to eventually get a list of licensed contractors and dependable contractors that do good work that we as a community can go to
The green list
for
of
right.
laborers.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
whatever it is,
Yeah, that's definitely
carpentry, electrical, plumbing.
Yeah,
That's
so
another
these
thing that we're
people
going to do. We're
treat
going
your
to be
people right,
teaching the kids,
Mhm.
introducing them to the trades. We've got some carpenters, some electricians, some plumbers that will come and introduce kids to the trades because everybody doesn't want to go to school, college.
Totally.
So so that is something else that we'll be doing as
Yeah.
well in the future.
And that's actually historically something I grew up with in my family, and I just found out another layer of like how incredible it was. So one of my great grandma's younger brother, and I was really close with my great grandma
Mhm.
actually. Her younger brother was Emmett Till's pastor in Chicago.
Mhm.
And I always knew that growing up, and so my holy grail is like I want to find some kind of documentation of his voice or like the eulogy that he gave, because that like started the civil rights movement. That was one of the matchsticks, and it's one of the most documented funerals, but there's nothing of the actual eulogy and what he said. So actually, when I got this house,
Well, let me say this.
yeah,
You would probably have to go to, I want to say it was at Reed's Temple, Church of God in Christ in Chicago.
Oh, it's actually
Yeah.
his grandson is still the pastor there. Yeah, so
but they
it's still in
probably
the
would have
family.
a record.
There's not.
No record?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
And actually, his daughter, it was her first day at college.
Mhm.
So it wasn't something, and that's so, for me, it's so similar to Idlewild. Like when you're in the moment of something, you're not thinking like, we're making history.
Mhm.
That's little Richard in the backyard. It's just Richard. It's just a little guy. he's just little. And that's what I'm trying to get across too with the podcast, is that like all of these stories, we need to keep documenting. We need to figure out, what is the history and why is this, why there's a reason we love it and fell in love with it, and there's a reason why it's still something that we want to not even just take care of, but keep doing.
Mhm.
Like we don't need to even change anything.
Yeah.
Well, we need to like fix it up, but
Yeah.
but
Maintain the things you love.
yeah, one of the things that I like from all of that stuff, that my family were all builders. So when I got here, I was looking at Emmett Till stuff again too, because that film was coming out, and it turned out that my family just had been working for a few years for recognition of the house that he had stayed in, and it turns out he was one of the first preservationists in Chicago too. So he bought one of the oldest houses in Chicago in the 30s. It was one of the only ones that survived the Chicago fire. He restored it, and then he started a construction restoration trade school to train the community so that he could keep it within the community, and they could take care of it. And that culture of just appreciating the place spread, because then also they had skills. So there's this whole neighborhood around the church. It's the church's parsonage. And they had a soup kitchen. They just everything that we keep talking about. You know, we've done this over and over again. My great grandma, who I spent Fridays with, her house was a stop on the way. And it's the same, you know. Some people stayed in Chicago. Some people were in Cleveland.
Right,
Some people came up here.
Yeah.
And it was an unbroken chain, you know. It was like, this is the network. We know how to take care of each other. We've been doing this for thousands of years.
That's how they end up putting the Detroit Idlewild Club, the Chicago Idlewild Club, the Cleveland Idlewild Club. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it might have been a St. Louis one at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But these clubs were huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, you talking about they had events at the Rift Center where they would have the fashion fairs and the models come in. And when I tell you, when we first start coming up here, it would take about 15 minutes to get from the beginning of the island down where coming on down the hill, up past the Flamingo to the other part of the bridge, because the traffic was just
traffic in the
traffic. Yeah.
That's
When they tell you 25,000 or more, yes, because I'm telling you, it would just take just that long, and just the people, you know. And you're talking about Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta, so Atlanta was the Black Mecca, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about the Mecca here, this was the place. Yeah, and everybody that was anybody, you know, would come, would come. Yeah,
Radiates love.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah, and to go back, you were talking about the roads. One of the stories I had read was Leela Wilson was really into metaphysics and the power of intention.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that she did when designing this area was that's why half of the streets right around where I am, where we are virtues.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then there's that section. And then there's that section of the places where she was going to recruit people to come. So all the Black cities that she visioned, you know, would be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love that. And I also, that's one of the projects I want to do with George. He's in a sign making mood right now. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, let's make as many of the places, as many of the street signs as we can. And imagine if it's like one day it's just like George World, you know, in this little part of
Like how we're talking about Leela Wilson right now.
Speaking of George.
Yes.
We're talking about George.
Yes. And so that's all these projects is like a lot of them I meet with George once a week and we talk about like all the things we want to do, and I'll bring him materials that he can work on or make things with, and then we figure out how to show his stuff, because both of us get very attached to our work. You know, it's like I just want to live in it. I want to hang out with it and share it with the people where I can like see and we can talk about it.
It's my love language to say, hey, I love this. Let me share it with you.
Yeah.
So and and when it's niche like that, when it's something that's loved and protected,
Yeah.
like yes, those are my people, and that's how I build community, and that's how I show love. It's like, hey, I think this is beautiful. I think this is worthwhile. Nobody else sees it. Come here. Let me
Mhm.
share it with you. So I absolutely see that.
Yeah, but then that
Space.
but then that ties into all this other stuff too, because so I'm working on a website. We just started a nonprofit together. And we're going to use different forms of the art that we're making to fund the projects we want to do. So I've been printing, you can get a hold of me. I've been printing out some of his pieces. We've got a lot of postcards. He just painted a sweatshirt that I'm going to make copies of.
Yes.
And
Well,
for that, then we'll be able to cover, or it'll help cover either labor, materials. We're redoing the floor. Don't take that away. So my goal for this winter is to start working on his house, and we're talking about the design that he wants to do. And his place, oh my God. I don't even want to say it. I need
what's your
to
price? What's your price?
yeah, I need to
Because George's design is really
it is really cool. So yeah, all of this is under the Black Eden Arts Alliance, which includes like the house, which is the media lab over here. And
I'm gonna tell you, I turn down so many like committees and boards and George, my love of George's work and like
Okay.
appreciation of Lydia's
I like that.
preservation of these stories, like is what she got me. You got me.
Oh wow.
yeah. So this is the original, and actually this series of t-shirts he's doing, or clothes. The originals are gonna be in the show that is gonna open at Michigan State in 2027. So we're doing a collaborative natural history museum, Georgia's Natural History Museum of Idlewild.
Wow, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen George's work. He's a awesome artist.
Mhm. I'm gonna put it on.
Sculpture, you name it. Yeah. And he's kind of like one of the hidden gems of Idlewild.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. Very and he still works every day. Like he's still making art every day. He's in his 80s. Oh, okay. So wait. Yeah, there's so much. I've been recording him and working with his family, and what you were talking about earlier is just like making sure you voice what you want with your stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Definitely want to do your things in order.
Mhm.
Because you're not gonna live forever. So,
Yeah. But also, like, as an artist myself,
Mhm.
to see that someone was able, he was a migrant farm worker. He came here as a teenager from Georgia. Like, he's also, part of this whole thing. Like, he
Right.
might have stayed at my great grandma's house.
I remember him telling the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want us to be able to celebrate people before they're gone. You know, I want them to be able to live in a comfortable place now, not make it a museum once he's dead. And also just to, yes.
Well, then the other thing is, I think you want a person that artistic. You really want their works to be on display somewhere instead of just in the house and some here and a little there. Yeah. So yeah, he really does need a place where the public can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you can explain
Yeah.
how he came with those
Yeah.
creative moments of whatever he created.
Yeah.
You might want to catch him recording.
Yeah, we've been filming.
Yeah.
We're doing a whole documentary on his life and what he's all about.
Yeah, I wish I would have did that with my parents. Especially when I'm second generation, but they, brought into this place in 2000. So I wish I'd had them, and they were excited when they bought the house, and just was on every committee, everything throughout the 2000s. She got ill with her Parkinson's and kind of
Okay.
all that.
Mm.
But I wish I filmed it.
And
Mhm.
where were you guys from?
I'm from Detroit.
Okay.
And I remember them coming up here because their friends were the Clays. I don't know, Robert Clay and Phil Clay. And that was their friends.
I've heard of the name Clay.
They
Yeah.
had a house off of Nelson Road. They would probably come up here and visit with them. And then somehow, I think my father said, "Hey, I want to buy some land up here."
Right.
My father wasn't on board with it. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to do it without
Come
you."
on.
So that's how, and they started that, whatever. And then I think my mother said, "If I'm gonna live here, you gotta give me free range to decorate this house to make it comfortable."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I lived in that house. It was what you call my house, a trailer on steroids.
Mhm.
So
It's amazing. It goes on forever. It's so cool. Mhm.
That's some really good, resourceful,
Yeah.
loving though. Is no
Okay.
matter what you give me, I can make you a home. Oh,
Mhm.
This is it. So,
that.
and I only can think about how selfless it was for them to. They thought about me
Mm.
Oh,
ongoing.
Pass something
They
down.
knew
Yeah.
I would adapt to it and
Mhm.
embrace it. I just wish they would have saw it more, and I did so.
Are you up here full time now?
I'm up here full time.
Okay.
It's my second winter.
All right.
Woo.
Yeah. So actually, I'm looking forward to this winter because the last one was it was a test.
Actually, last winter wasn't that bad.
Wasn't that bad, but
Yeah.
the house needed some weatherization.
Oh, okay.
And I had that done.
Oh my God, yeah.
I remember the first winter I spent here in California.
Oh, wow.
My first winter here, I didn't have a kitchen. I built a sink in the utility room
Oh wow.
and was using like hot plates, and everything was gutted. It was
Glorified camping.
uh-huh.
You had it.
It's
No
come a long
insulation?
way. There no insulation because it was all moldy.
Mm.
Yeah, so a month after I got in here, I had like moved all my stuff in. A month after I got in here, I found the mold and I had to take everything out. Oh, it's okay. I can just put it on the floor. She's all
So that was a task in itself. Then.
yeah, and it was also I had just gotten triggered with complex PTSD, and I felt like I was dying all the time, and it was the pandemic. And I was actually that first year and a half I was hanging out with Betty like every few days. And that the combination of it actually forced me to like reconnect with a lot of my own family history, which was also obviously connected to the complex trauma. And so the whole house is like a long like meditation of the rest of my life, basically.
Wow. So you did some soul searching.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah. And listening to I love reading, but I haven't been able to for the last couple of years I haven't been able to just like sit and present, and focus. And it's actually just getting better now, and Tara's helped a lot this summer of just being able to like learn how to be in my body again and slow down and process things, Yeah.
There's a lot of my people, that's uniquely I find in my space in the world. There's a lot of my very super gifted stars of people that are my Afro-Indigenous humans and my minority people, but they have so much to give, but there's a whole society that tells them that they're not of value, that those things that they have don't matter. And we live in a system that doesn't respect a lot of the values that we hold as minority communities, much less mirror them or reciprocate them. So
Mhm.
it's really hard. It's hard for my artistic and emotional and romantic and loving humans to be out in that abrasive world. So that I distinctly find my space right there, trying to protect that.
Who you calling romantic?
Well, what happens is when people, you have to understand that when certain people have not gone through a struggle, then they can't identify with the people that all their life they've struggled,
Mm.
and so their perspective, the lens they look out of, totally different. So they will never understand.
Yeah.
And so they end up either becoming judgmental or assessing you as less than.
Mhm.
And so, that's why it's important now for the minority community to really gather themselves and not just reflect on history, but learn from history
Mhm.
and understand that they're trying to take us back,
Mhm.
and
But also,
until we really focus in on, who we are
Mhm.
and our value, to ourselves and to the world, then, we'll always be searching.
Mhm. Totally. But also, Idlewild is a testament to the fact that, like,
That's what this is.
it's one of the places we can go back and feel like
As someone who's-
reassurance that, oh yeah, we've always known. It's
and
not.
then you build on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is like white people tricking the world. And that continuation of like theft
There is
and
Wait.
destruction.
exploitation. There's
Yeah.
It's a pot, like I said.
I mean,
a pot of commodification.
Yeah, we're watching genocide live. We're living genocide on this side. We're seeing all these layers of an archaeological dig is, visiting a crime scene on every single step of this.
We are existing
Ground.
in this exploitative system.
And really like picking up these bricks, in my yard and putting them back together.
Mhm.
And it's like at the same time as your own self. It's crazy.
Well,
Wild.
here's the other thing is that anytime somebody that's been in power begins to lose their power
Mhm.
and becomes learning that they're becoming outnumbered, then
That's the
it's a different
The
place
love
for
of
them,
power.
Mhm.
and so now, you have to do whatever you can to suppress a people, so that they don't realize the power that they have.
Right.
bingo.
But if they ever realize the power that they have, that we have, won't anything be able to hold us down?
Yeah, you gotta control the hope.
But we got to come together.
Hmm. I mean, well,
Yeah.
the destructive forces are
Sure.
trying to
Yeah.
control the
Yeah.
hope.
Hope,
Yeah.
Hope is a commodity
Yes.
for leadership, for power. That's what it fuels. If you can restrict the flow of and restrict the economy of hope, like cult leaders or Western society leaders, then you can control a population. I will peddle little bits of hope to you and string you along.
Hmm. And then make you believe everything that's
And here
happening
I
is
am,
your
an
fault.
anarchist. I'm gonna break down. I'm like, nah, I got hope for free. Let's break down the economy. No.
It's important that we read.
It is
and
important.
research. Yeah. And when you have your own, nobody can take it from you.
Well,
We are uniquely positioned to be able to tell our own stories
That's
for the
right.
first time in history.
mhm.
Because every place else we are looked at and we are observed and we're talked about. Those are not the rooms that we want to be in because they don't value us.
Mhm.
We want to be in the rooms where they clear a space to value the story that we tell
Yeah.
about us.
Well, you want to be in the room where you are able to clear the room. That we determine our own destiny
Mhm.
in that respect.
Totally.
We clear the room.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to clear it for us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're intelligent enough and have enough power. But if we collaborate and come together, we can clear the room.
Totally.
We've already got the room.
Yeah.
And that said,
Right.
Yeah.
George,
Got the room.
Yep, we
Yeah.
got. Yep.
George isn't- yeah.
We just have to realize we got the room.
George isn't the only community member I'm working with right now to help document. I'm also working with Ida Shore and Betty Wiggins on the Casablanca as they're restoring it. And I'm about to visit Columbia because Woolsey Coombs, the architect for the Casablanca, went to school at Columbia, which is also pretty amazing to think of how many Black architects there were at that time. And for him to be at an Ivy League. And also Falang, working on just helping her record a memoir that she's wanting to do. So if you have any hopes of people, I can help you just set up cameras. And I don't, if you like, I am trying to gather a community archive, a digital one, but I'm not trying to take anyone's stuff. I just want us to be able to have a record and to be able to share it. It is written in the Ida Wilders yearbook that they wanted them to be in everyone's house. They wanted them to be known. It was intended to be shared. And it's the only way we're going to be able to maintain our own history and decide what parts of it we want to protect and carry on to the future. Yeah. So thank you guys for coming. Also, what do you think about the food?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, the food was great.
Yay.
Looked the fish.
Yeah.
The beans and the squash was delicious.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
all
really
of
good. Yeah, I want some more. So I'm going to go off air. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you in a few weeks.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you all out there in
And YouTube land. And
social media land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck on the end of the world.
yeah.
Set your coordinates.
I'm safe from the
Coordinates
apocalypse.
209.
Yes. Take care. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
All right. See you. Charles.